She looked me dead in the eye and said, "Stay in your lane, old lady." Well, honey, I did stay in my lane. Went straight to the bank and cleaned out every single penny I had saved for her dream wedding. $23,000. Just like that. Their fancy venue. Cancelled. Their 5-course dinner. Cancelled. Their designer flowers. Cancelled. What they got instead was pizza boxes and plastic chairs in my son's tiny backyard. And when I saw the shock on their faces, when I watched them scramble to explain to their guests why everything looked like a church potluck, I smiled. Because sometimes the quietest revenge is the loudest lesson. Before I tell you the rest of this story, I need to say something. Thank you for being here with me today. Really, truly thank you. These stories, they sit heavy on my chest sometimes. But when I share them with you beautiful people, when I know someone out there is listening, it makes the weight a little easier to carry. So tell me in the comments. Where are you watching from? What city? What state? I read every comment and I remember your names. You're not just viewers to me. You're family. And if you've ever been pushed aside by the people you love most, if you've ever felt invisible in your own family, I want to hear your story. Comment below or send me an email. We're all carrying these hurts, and maybe if we share them, they won't hurt so much anymore. My name is Dorothy Jean. I'm 67 years old. Born in small-town Alabama where everyone knew everyone and Sunday dinner was sacred. I raised my boy all by myself after his daddy passed when he was just 8 years old. Heart attack. Too young, too sudden. From that day on, it was just me and my baby boy. I worked at the diner during the day, cleaned offices at night, and took in sewing on weekends. Whatever it took to keep food on the table and shoes on his feet. I used to tell him while tucking him in, "One day you'll find a good woman, and I hope she loves you like I do." He was such a good boy. Never talked back, always helped with chores, brought me flowers he picked from the neighbor's yard. But everything changed when he walked into our lives. His girlfriend, well, his fiancée now, she was beautiful, I'll give her that. The kind of pretty that makes people stop and stare. But there was something cold about her smile. It looked real, but it felt fake. Like she was wearing a mask. She called me Miss Dorothy, but said it like it tasted bad in her mouth. Always polite on the surface, but underneath, ice cold. I could see the way she looked at my little house, my old furniture, my faded curtains. Like everything I had wasn't good enough for her taste. But I stayed nice. I thought maybe she just needed time to warm up to me. Maybe she was nervous about meeting her future mother-in-law. Boy, was I wrong. When they announced their engagement, I was so happy. I cried tears of joy. I immediately started planning how I could help make their day special. I got out my old recipe books, started writing down ideas for homemade decorations. I wanted to make centerpieces with flowers from my garden, maybe have the ceremony at our family church where 4 generations of our family got married. I thought I was being helpful. I thought I was honoring our family history. One Saturday afternoon, we all sat at my kitchen table. She had her fancy laptop open, scrolling through pictures of expensive venues with crystal chandeliers and marble floors. I gently pushed my little notebook toward her. It was filled with ideas I'd written in my best handwriting. I said, "I know these might not be fancy, but maybe we could add some family touches. Something with real meaning, something that lasts." She looked down at my notebook. Didn't even touch it. Then she laughed. Not a nice laugh. A mean laugh. Cold as winter wind. She said, "We're going for elegance, Dorothy. Maybe you should just stay in your lane." She said it so casual, like she was talking about the weather. But those words hit me like a slap. The whole room went quiet. My son just sat there, staring at his phone like he didn't hear anything. Didn't defend me. Didn't say one word. I felt my heart break right there at my own kitchen table. My hands were shaking. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just nodded real slow, picked up my notebook and walked out of the room. They didn't follow me. They didn't ask if I was okay. They just kept talking about flower arrangements like nothing happened. That's when I knew. I wasn't part of this wedding. I was just an obstacle they were trying to move around. After that day, I tried to shake it off. I told myself maybe she was just stressed about the wedding. Maybe she didn't mean to be so cruel. But deep down I started feeling like I was disappearing. Like I was being erased from my own son's life. For 15 years, I had been saving money for this day. Every extra dollar went into that account. When I won $10 at church bingo, I saved half. When neighbors paid me for alterations, I tucked most of it away. I skipped buying new clothes for myself. I ate peanut butter sandwiches when I wanted real meals. I kept my heat low in winter to save money. All for him. All for his future. That savings account was my gift of love to my son. I check the balance every month and smile, watching it grow like a garden. That money represented sacrifice. It represented a mother's love. But as the wedding got closer, I noticed something terrible. Nobody was calling me. Nobody was including me in anything. I found out about the bridal shower from Facebook. Saw pictures of all the women in our family laughing and drinking champagne. But no chair for me. No invitation. Like I didn't exist. Then one day, I saw the wedding program draft on their counter. I wasn't on it anywhere. Not listed as mother of the groom. Not mentioned in the thank you section. Or, my name was completely erased from my own son's wedding day. My chest felt tight, but I didn't say a word. I just left that house with my heart breaking into a million pieces. He used to call me every few days. Used to come over every Sunday for my fried chicken and cornbread. We'd sit on the porch and talk about everything and nothing. But suddenly the calls stopped. Weeks went by. Then a whole month. Silence. That's when it hit me like a truck. I wasn't just being left out of the wedding. I was being pushed out of his life. Slowly, quietly, like I was just some old woman who didn't matter anymore. And what hurt the most wasn't her. It was him. My own son. The baby I rocked to sleep every night. The boy I fed before I fed myself. The child I prayed over every single day. He knew better. I raised him to be respectful, to honor his mother. But he just stood there and watched while I was treated like garbage. 2 weeks after I saw that program, I was sitting in my kitchen, crying quiet tears. Not loud sobs, just silent tears rolling down my cheeks. That's when my great-niece Maya walked in. She's 25 now, smart as a whip, and has never been afraid to speak her mind. She took one look at my face and knew something was wrong. She sat down next to me and said, "Aunt Dorothy, what's going on? And don't tell me nothing because I can see it in your eyes." So I told her everything. Every painful detail. How I was being treated like I didn't matter. How my own son was letting it happen. Maya listened to every word. Her jaw got tighter and tighter. When I finished, she said something I'll never forget. "Aunt Dorothy, you raised a man, not a puppet. Don't let them treat you like you're invisible. You're not meant to fade into the background." Then she asked me something that changed everything. "Do you still have access to that wedding account?" Told her yes. I had opened it years ago with both our names on it, mine and my son's, to help them when the time came. Maya pulled out her phone. "Let's check it," she said. I hesitated. Part of me was scared to look. But Maya took my hand and said, "Whatever we find, you deserve to know. You've earned the right to know what's happening with your own money." She helped me log in right there at the kitchen table. When the screen loaded, my heart stopped. What I saw made me so angry I could barely breathe. But I'll tell you about that in just a minute. Maya's fingers moved across the phone screen, and then she stopped. She turned the phone toward me with a look of pure shock on her face. There it was. My account. My money. But transaction after transaction going out. Thousands and thousands of dollars. One payment to some fancy bridal shop in Atlanta. Another to an expensive venue. More to a catering company I'd never heard of. Designer invitations. Premium flowers. Even something called luxury linens. My eyes stayed glued to that screen. I couldn't blink. I couldn't breathe. I whispered, "All of this came from my account." Maya nodded, her face serious. "Yes, Aunt Dorothy. They've been spending your money for months." Hit me like lightning. The money I had sacrificed for, the account I had built with years of saying no to myself, was being drained. They didn't just leave me out of the planning. They used my kindness like a credit card that couldn't say no. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just sat there, feeling something building inside me. Not loud anger but quiet fury. The kind that doesn't make noise but moves mountains. Maya asked softly, "What do you want to do?" I didn't answer right away. I stood up, walked to my bedroom, and came back with my important papers folder. Bank statements, account numbers, passwords. Everything. Then I said, calm as morning coffee, "I want to go to the bank." We drove to the bank the next morning. I didn't even get dressed up. Wore my house dress and comfortable shoes. Walked in like a woman on a mission. I withdrew every single penny. All $23,000. The bank teller asked, "Is this for something special?" I looked her right in the eye and said, "Yes, honey. This is for my peace of mind." I walked out of that bank with my head held high and my dignity intact. They said I was too old-fashioned, too loud, too much trouble. So I let my silence do the talking. And let me tell you, it spoke volumes. 3 days after I emptied that account, my phone rang. I was sitting on my front porch, drinking sweet tea and watching the birds. The caller ID showed my son's name. I stared at it for a long moment, took a deep breath and answered. He didn't say hello. No "Hey mama," or "How are you doing?" Just panic in his voice. "Mama, what happened to the venue payment?" His voice was shaky, like he was embarrassed and confused all at once. He stayed calm. "Wheat as pie. I stayed in my lane, baby. Just like your fiancé told me to. And my lane didn't include being disrespected in my own home." Dead silence. Then he mumbled, "You could have talked to me first." I let that sit for a moment. Then I said, "Son, you had months to talk to me. But you chose silence. So now I'm choosing mine." That night, my phone buzzed with a long text message from her. It started with "No offense, but," which always means the offense is coming hard. She called me petty. Said I was jealous of her taking my place. Said I was trying to ruin their special day out of spite. She called me bitter, selfish, and childish. I read every word. Then I set the phone down and made myself another cup of tea. I didn't respond right away. I waited until the next morning. Then I sent her one simple message. "You wanted a wedding without me in it. Don't call me now that something's missing." I didn't block her number. I didn't argue back. I just gave her the truth, plain and simple. No drama, no fighting, just facts. In that silence, I took back something more valuable than money. I took back my dignity. After all the phone calls and text messages and hurt feelings, I woke up one morning and made a decision. I looked around my little house, the same house I'd lived in for 40 years. The same porch where I used to rock my baby to sleep. The same kitchen where I cooked with love every single day. I realized I had been waiting too long. Waiting for phone calls that didn't come. Waiting for apologies that never arrived. Waiting for people to remember where they came from. So I decided to stop waiting and start living. First thing I did was go buy paint. Sky blue and warm yellow. I came home, put on my old work clothes, turned up some gospel music, and painted that front porch like I was painting my way to freedom. Every brush stroke felt like I was taking back a piece of myself. I called the ladies from church and invited them over for Bible study on my newly painted porch. They came, every single one. We sat with our Bibles and our sweet tea, sharing stories and lifting each other up. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I bought myself a brand new rocking chair. Not from a yard sale, not a hand-me-down. A beautiful chair with soft cushions that felt like a hug when I sat down. Maya came over one afternoon and said, "Aunt Dorothy, what would you think about teaching cooking classes? The community center has a kitchen we could use." First I hesitated. Me teach. But then I remembered. Every time I cooked, I wasn't just making food. I was making memories. I was passing down love. So I said yes. On the first day of class, I put on my Sunday best. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to. Royal blue dress, my grandmother's pearl necklace, and my best shoes. I walked into that kitchen not as somebody's forgotten mother, but as a woman who had something valuable to share. When I showed those young women how to make cornbread with love and biscuits with patience, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. I felt important. Peace has a sound, you know. It's not explaining yourself to people who won't listen. It's laughter over homemade cake with people who see your worth. It's sitting in a chair you bought for yourself, watching the sunset paint the sky. It's waking up and realizing you're never too old to start over. Late in the fall, when the leaves were turning gold and red, he came back. I was on my porch in my new chair, wrapped in my favorite shawl, just enjoying the cool air. I saw a car pull up slow, like the driver wasn't sure if they should stop. It was my son. He got out alone. No ring on his finger. No wife beside him. Just my boy, looking smaller than I remembered. Not physically, but in his spirit. He stood at the bottom of my porch steps for a long time. Head down, shoulders sagging. I didn't say anything. Just kept rocking. Finally, he climbed the steps and sat on the edge of the porch. He stared out at the yard like he was looking for the right words in the falling leaves. Then he said, soft and shaky, "Mama, I'm sorry. I didn't jump up. I didn't cry. I just asked, what are you sorry for?" He took a deep breath. For letting her treat you like that. For not standing up for you. For letting your name disappear like you didn't matter. We sat in silence for a while. Long enough for the wind to change direction. Then he said, "I'm not here for money, Mama. I miss you." I looked at him then. Really looked at him. He was still my son, but he was different. Life had taught him some hard lessons. You could see it in his eyes. He was holding the broken pieces of his pride. I nodded slowly. "I hear you, baby. But you need to hear me too." I leaned forward, hands folded in my lap. Sorry without change is just noise. And I've heard enough noise to last a lifetime. He swallowed hard, like he wanted to say more but couldn't find the words. So I reached over and gently took his hand. We sat like that for a while. Just the two of us, no words needed. I did hug him before he left. Held him tight like I used to when he was scared of thunderstorms. But I didn't invite him inside. Not yet. Some doors take time to open all the way again. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. And love doesn't mean you let people walk through your peace with muddy shoes. If anyone has ever made you feel like you don't belong, like your thoughts don't matter, like your time has passed, listen to me carefully. Your value isn't tied to who calls you. It's not about whether your name is on some list or if there's a seat saved for you at the table. Your worth was never about how loud people cheer when you walk in a room. It's about how you carry yourself when the room goes quiet. You can love people with your whole heart and still say, "That's far enough." That doesn't make you mean. That doesn't make you bitter. That makes you wise. It took me too long to learn that setting boundaries isn't pushing people away. It's protecting the parts of yourself that took years to build. If you're watching this and feeling invisible, like your heart's been broken by your own family, like you've been made to feel like background music in your own life story, I see you. You are not invisible. You are not too much. And you are not finished. They told me to stay in my lane. So I did. But what they forgot is that my lane was paid for with sacrifice, with prayer, with love, and with grace. When the road got bumpy, I kept driving anyway. Before you go, if any part of this story touched something in your heart that's still healing, don't keep it locked up inside. Tell me your story in the comments. 5 words or 5 paragraphs, I'm listening. And I promise you're not alone. Hit that like button if this reminded you of your own strength. Share it with someone who needs to remember they still matter. And subscribe to join our family of truth tellers who aren't afraid to speak what hurts and heal out loud. We don't stay quiet here. We grow together. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Much love, Granny Dorothy.